I recently turned 29, which to Gen Z makes me ancient, but believe it or not, I am actually the youngest member of the Next to Nothing team, despite what Green Elite's youthful appearance and childlike wonder will tell you. And like every year, my fiance asked me what I would like for my birthday. And my first wish, really, was that she would stop poking me in the ass anytime I bent over to brush my teeth or grab a pan. But that was soundly rejected. So I had two ideas. One, I haven't updated my keyboard in a while, and retro handhelds are pretty cool, and I've been wanting to jump into those for about a year. So either of those would be great options for a gift. She ignored the operative word of either and went ahead and got me both. Honestly, what should I have expected from a woman whose love languages seem to be gift giving and touching my sphincter? Which I've never done a keyboard review before, but if you would like a keyboard review, let me know in the comments. But this video is focused on the other gift I got, the Anbernic RG355M, in the stylish steel blue finish. I'm going to cover why I got interested in these kinds of devices, why I pointed my partner towards this one in particular as a gift, and how I've been liking it, and if you should also get into these kinds of devices. So why was I interested in these types of devices? Well, to get the obvious out of the way, they're kind of cool. They're little handhelds that evoke a sense of nostalgia in me, and they're incredibly customizable and aren't bound to any one company. The fact that I can load up GBA games, PlayStation 1, N64, Pico 8, and a half dozen other systems is incredible to me. The ability to tinker around with the operating system in a low-risk sort of environment is also really appealing. I'm not risking an entire hard drive on my computer or risking my phone to screw around with an operating system. And the other biggest reason is, well, I travel a lot now. In 2022 and 2023, I have taken more flights than I ever have in my life. I've also had more road trips with my fiance driving between whatever city we're currently staying in and where our home is. Having a small handheld device that I can take with me that isn't my phone is really awesome. I'm not really someone who likes gaming on my phone much anyways. The touch controls I don't really care for, and the general state of the mobile market really doesn't attract me. So combine all those reasons together, and I felt a pretty good pull towards these kinds of devices. It doesn't help that once I started researching these things, from YouTubers such as Retro Gaming Core, Bob Wolf, and Taki Udon, YouTube started pushing emulator videos really hard in my suggestions. So now you know why I wanted a device like this. Why did I pick this one as my first one? Well, for a few reasons really. First is that this device allows you to dual boot. It natively runs Android when you don't have an operating system on a microSD card in the first slot. And out of all the videos I watched, this one device really stuck out to me in the reviews, and it seemed to review pretty solidly. Its construction seemed like it would be a sturdy enough device to take on the go. It was pocketable, so if I was to go through TSA, it was easy enough to pull out and store again. I also saw different types of tutorials, articles, and resources I could draw on while messing around with it. It was also a pretty affordable price that I couldn't feel guilty about asking for as a gift. So I got the Anbernic RG355M and the 16 gig and 64 gig microSD cards, which currently retails for roughly $135 American. If you're new to this kind of device, I would recommend making sure to get the option with the SD cards. It'll save you a little bit of hassle in the initial setup. In the box, it came with a Type-C charging cable, user manual, and screen protector. And for the most part, each component feels really solid. I even kept the box to store it in when I moved last, just for added protection. The RG353M has an aluminum alloy shell, an RK3566 quad-core 64-bit Cortex A55 processor, say that 5 times fast, 2 gigs of RAM, stereo speakers, a lithium polymer battery. It supports both Android and Linux. It has Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and a 3.5-inch 480p multi-touch IPS screen. The RG353M feels really good in the hand. Part of the reason I went with the M instead of the P was because of the solid aluminum shell. I was concerned with my first device like this being too fragile to travel well, and the flex of certain plastics is something that really turns me off from even wanting to use a product. The buttons feel pretty good. The Joy-Con style sticks are kind of recessed into the device and feel pretty good as well. And the triggers on top are really clicky and are satisfying to push. The button layout, inputs, and everything makes sense and was pretty ergonomic for the most part. I say for the most part because I do have one slight gripe, and that is because the RG353M is a little cramped. I've noticed in longer play sessions that my grip gets a little sore between holding the device and manipulating the buttons. It does have no slip rubber on the back, but there isn't really an ergonomic grip integrated into the design. But that is a sacrifice for this perfectly flat and rectangular design that admittedly looks pretty sleek. And I will also mention here that I haven't really pushed the performance limits of this device, but so far I haven't noticed it heat up in my hand like I know some of these devices are prone to doing when you really start to push them. Once I got it out of the box, what did I do? Well, the first thing I did was I went to Reddit and found this pretty useful subreddit with a mega thread specifically for the RG353M. And anyone who's like me and new to the space or just got their own, I'll put a link for you in the description. Then I downloaded Gelos, which is the operating system I'm currently running on the 353M. The GEL in Gelos stands for Just Enough Linux, or so I'm told. It seems like a friendly enough operating system for a beginner, but as of recording this, I haven't really dove too deep into it. I am tempted to try ArcOS as well, but that may be a video for another time. Then I got my 64 gig card prepped. I got my ROMs ready and I followed the instruction from Retro Gaming Core on how to make sure it's readable. And honestly, after about 30-ish minutes of tinkering around, I was playing Pokemon Crystal. If you're like me and this is the first time that you've had a device like this, make sure you bookmark all your videos and reference guides because you don't want to lose them. There's nothing that you can do that's not reversible, but you still don't want to lose your way. So at this point you might be asking, well, what have you been playing? And I'm gonna be really blunt here. Mostly Pokemon. I know, it's kind of lame, but there's just something about playing Pokemon handheld again that just feels right. But not just regular Pokemon games, to be fair. Yeah, sure, I was able to find ROMs in order to put on this device, but ROM hacking also exists. And I have been playing Pokemon Crystal Legacy, the quote, perfect Pokemon Crystal ROM hack from Smith Plays Pokemon. So if you are looking to play something like this and you want to know if you can play fan games or homebrews, just name your ROM something unique so that you don't get it mixed up with the vanilla version on your device. There are also communities of people developing games for Game Boy and Game Boy Color still, and you can find them over on itch.io. Some of the games I'm looking to try out are Murder Mansion, Dawn Will Come, and Dusky Dungeon. These are all Game Boy Studio games and have Game Boy ROM files that can be played by the emulators in the Anbernic. There's also the fantasy console Pico 8, and I think it's mostly known for the game Celeste, a precision platformer. But there are a bunch of other interesting games that are made for this fantasy system. A few games I'm planning on trying over there are Demi Daggers, Seeking the Beast 3, and Dungeon Buster. If you have suggestions for games that I should be playing on my Anbernic, let me know in the comments down below. If you're a developer, you can also reach me on Twitter right here. So I think we're in the point of the video that many of you have been waiting for. You're like me and you're wondering if this is the first emulator that you should pick up. My experience with the 353M overall has been a really good one. I don't regret my choice at all in picking this as my first emulator handheld. It runs well, the blue aluminum shell looks cool and feels good in the hand, and there seems to be a decent amount of support for this device and devices like it that you can draw on so you can tinker at your own comfort level. I don't think I made the wrong decision in picking this one. But those are my thoughts on the Anbernic RG353M. Let me know if you've picked up this device, what your experience has been with it. If you're a developer for Game Boy games, ROM hacks, let me know. Let me know your games in the description, or again, reach me over here on Twitter. Comment, like, subscribe for more videos like this, and we'll see you in the next one.